I had a job with a beehive in it that I had to take the tree down. It was an oak tree. It was right up next to an apartment building. But I didn't recognize that there was an active hive in there because we started the job. It was in the winter time that we did the job, so it was very cold and all the bees were in the hive. And I had a crane out on this job. So I got right up there and I took a great big cut. And the cut that I took was right through the middle of the hive. And as I was cutting, all the honey from inside the hive was spraying out against the building. And I didn't know what the hell was going on. I just kept cutting and cutting and cutting. And the crane lifted this whole top of the tree up over my head. And honey was dripping down on me as he set it down on the street. Because it was cold, the bees did not attack me. I got really lucky. But I didn't imagine there was an active hive in there. I'm an arborist, but I'm also a storyteller. I like to tell stories about the tree jobs that we do, but I also talk a lot about the individual unique species that we get to work on. Some of them are fairly common, but I run into unique examples of some of these trees. Here's a live oak. I talk about the Quercus agrifolia a lot. That's one of the more common trees in our area. But once in a while, I run into a very unique example of an old tree. Here's yet another very common tree in our area. That's the valley oak, the Quercus lobata. And this particular tree has a hive in it. I was very happy to see an active beehive. I found this interesting. There was a plaque at the base of this tree that presumably was put there in 1976, which is almost 50 years ago. It's 47 years ago. And they claim that this valley oak would be 240 some odd years old now. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. This is an old tree, but I'd be surprised if it was more than 120, 130 years old. We cut down a lot of these big old trees when they're dying, and I often count the rings. And to find a 200-year-old oak tree in the valley is fairly rare. And once again, there's those bees up in there, which tells me a couple of things, that there is enough of a cavity in there to support this hive. This tree's been cut back many times. Here's something I run into quite often. This stickiness right here really irritates a lot of people. And it's caused by the acorn weevil. Oh, here's a beautiful tree. I went up to Napa this last weekend and saw a lot of really, really spectacular valley oaks amongst a lot of the vineyards. And interestingly, this tree was so beautiful that they wanted to protect it. So what do? They cut all of its roots off and they put this raised wall all the way around, which is fairly new. The tree still looks pretty good. A lot of people said, well, look at that, it survived. It's going to be okay. What they don't realize is it takes a long time for a tree to die when you cut all the roots, sometimes as much as 10 years. The tree goes into a gradual decline. And this is kind of fun. While I was up there, we attended a lobster fest at one of the wineries. It was the Prager winery. They're a port winery. They specialize in beautiful, really, really beautiful port wines. Really, really good. But we paid to be part of this dinner, which was really fun because so many people showed up. I think it was about 150 people. So they rolled out all this paper on all these tables, and there was no plates, no cutlery. It was interesting.